So I'm trying to remember how to wire up this little relay where instead of it throwing power like it needs to for most things like lights and any kind of equipment that you have in the car, an amp, things like that, I need this thing to throw ground. So it's gonna get a signal from the ride controller that has 12 volts and it has to convert that into a ground signal because that's the only way that we can tell the remote start on the GTR to be triggered by an auxiliary input. That's nerd speech for we have to just make everything work together. So a few years ago, we used to have these ride controllers set up on the website and a remote start kit, this whole little package, and then we stopped doing it and then I forgot about it. And then the other day, one of those sold on the website and I didn't even remember how to do it because it's been so long. So I looked it up and I'm gonna show you how to do it. One thing I really don't like is when people that are like super into their industry start talking with all those industry terms and talking about the negative pole and the bunch of different stuff that I should probably know, but I just don't, because if I haven't needed to know it, then I just don't. Make something work and then I move on to the next thing. So I'm not gonna talk like that, but I will tell you exactly what it is that I do and then why I did it. It's easier for me to just do it really quick and then show you.
Hey, this might come out as total madness, but just wait. I really need to tell you something, 'cause I feel alone in a room surrounded by people. I wanna know if you're feeling it too. Out on the roof, here with you, it all seems so distant. With you under streetlights right next to the skyline. With you.
All right, so check this out. Now, when I hit that button right there, you can hear that little relay and that relay. So we can do a little test right now to make sure that it's actually working. So here's what I did. I took a little pigtail and a bulb. This was actually the bulb that I took out of Mickey's RX-7 because for whatever reason, his car just didn't like it. Stupid bulb! But it works great on a little box test bench. So I'm gonna test this, make sure that it works on the box, and then I'm gonna test it using Bluetooth and the phone, and yeah. So there's our parking light. There's our brake light. And so I know that both functions work fine. So now what I can do is I can put this in a pigtail. So this pigtail is gonna allow me to give ground right here, power for, I think, the running light, and then power for the brake light. And if I wanna do that, the easiest way to check is to just hook in ground here on the test box. And then I have this little wire connector that I can hook up to one of the two. And there we go. I've got my running light and brake light there. So now, knowing that this works, I'm gonna take the ground out. And we know that this ride controller unit right here, it throws power. It does not throw ground. But we need the remote start to get a ground signal, not a power signal. So we've built in this little relay to swap the circuit. I got a bunch of fuses here to protect all the individual channels on the ride controller, but I am doing this just to change the signal. So from the top right here, that's actually, there's nothing hooked up to it yet. That is where it's gonna send that ground signal to the remote start unit from Car Kit Company. So let's just see if it works. First off, we know when I push the button, it's clicking. So we know that it's sending power down to this little dude right here. It's actually getting power straight from the ride controller. So if I just hold the ground right on the top of this relay, push the button, boom, buddy. It's changing power into ground. And so I know I can ship this thing off now. And I'm probably never gonna do it again. But at least I figured it out because of the interwebs. Now, alternatively, another thing that I can do, just since I have all this junk set up right now, is I can test to make sure that I'm getting power sent out from the ride controller the way that it's supposed to work. So instead of this being hooked up to power, I'm gonna hook it up to ground. I'm gonna ground the bulb. And now I'm just gonna hook up this little guy right here to one of the channels. And then I'm gonna hook up this other one to the other channel. So there's a total of 4 channels. The way that the remote starts work on the ride controllers is they used to always be defaulted to channel 4. I don't think it matters now. In any case, here's my phone. I'm just gonna push on channel 3, and there it is. I got my parking light. And if I push channel 2, it's my brake light. And again, that momentary one that I have set up is controlling what turns power into ground. Nerd out, bro. So a lot of people get really freaked out when it comes to electronics and they just don't ever want to see wires. I don't know why, but to me, this stuff, I feel like I can chase down the reasoning behind every wire. I want to know why things work, which is why I spend all this time talking to you and telling you the way that I've figured out how it works. Not because I'm saying it right, not because I paid some school a bunch of money to teach me technical terms so I could, I don't know, impress other people that work in the same field. I don't know, it just all sounds stupid to me. I don't need all of that. I just need to be able to make things work. Like, that's literally how simple it is. So I tell you all that common speak, not prideful, educated man talk. Let's just look at all these wires. So this to me kind of makes sense. I mean, if we're looking at this, the first of each of these little sections has to have power coming into it. And then all that the ride controller is doing is taking that power, and then each little relay that's in there, that little black box, it acts like a gateway. And if you tell the gateway to open up, now it's gonna send power from this first position to the second position. And so every first of the three little notches here is power in, and every second one of these little sections here is power out. And then the third one, I don't even know what it does. That's how important it is. This one doesn't have anything to power up, but this one is powering up the brake light, and this one is powering up the running light. And I've got my ground for this guy hooked up right here on the box, and then I've got power and ground going to the actual ride controller, and it's going to the ride controller through a bunch of individual little wires that all have fuses on them. And then the last channel here, this guy right here, is power in and then power out all the way down this green wire into the relay, and this is the part I said I would explain. So look at this relay. This is a 5-pin, they call it like a Bosch style relay. It's very basic. And so this is not the way that you would normally wire it. But the only power coming into it is this green wire, and then everything else, the way that I've hooked it up, is all ground. So these things just get hooked up directly to ground, and when it gets that power signal, it's gonna send a ground out the top right here. So I just need to hook up one extra wire. It's gonna be yellow because that's the input wire for the auxiliary input on the ride controller. I know that because GTR installs are pretty easy because of Car Kit Company, and that's just the color that they made that wire. So that's it. Now I get to send this off to a customer. This was a weird one. I just wanted to show you some stuff. I had to figure it out. Figured I'd make a video on the fly and take you through kind of my mind process. Like, I didn't know how to do that, not off the top of my head, 20 minutes ago. I just looked it up really quick. I figure if I need to search it up again, I don't have to dig through the internet. I'll just jump on my YouTube channel and I can learn, future Chris can learn from present Chris. You know what I'm saying? So feel free to do the same.